Now, for more on China and the Czech Republic, I spoke to Jeremy Garlick. He's an international relations professor at the University of Economics in Prague. I asked him about the current state of trade ties between the two countries.
The trade relationship and investment has started from a very low base. On the other hand, it's been increasing rapidly in the last 10 years. So trade at least has been taking off. On the other hand, Chinese investment in the Czech Republic up to now has been fairly negligible. The Czech relationship in Czech investment in China has been rather made perhaps more considerable, particularly due to Škoda Auto or Škoda Cars, which has been selling a lot of cars in China. I believe over 1.5 million units have been sold in China. And so that is one of the major sources of Czech investment in China, but the Chinese investment in the Czech Republic up to now has been rather small. So this, on the one hand, would seem to be a negative thing, but on the other hand, is very positive because it means there's a great deal of room for growth and improved investment and relations between the two countries.
Now, speaking of investment in the Czech Republic from China, by some estimates, we're looking at perhaps $4 billion worth just this year alone. And we're looking at a number of sectors, including health, transport, IT, sciences. What sectors do you think are really going to be the standouts in this relationship?
One sector that is definitely growing and has been growing the last few years is the tourism sector. The Prague, as you know, is a very beautiful city, and the Chinese tourism to Prague has been growing, fantastically. I believe we had over 250,000 Chinese visitors to the Czech Republic last year. So I think this is one sector that is really going to certainly demonstrate growth, particularly with the recent announcement that the Chinese company CEFC has bought shares in two Czech travel agents, suggesting that it's looking to expand relations on this front. So I think tourism would be one area that I would be looking at. They also have purchased a share in a Czech brewery and also a Czech football club. So perhaps, that kind of food and tourism sectors might be areas for growth. Also, machinery. The Czechs are very experienced in machinery, as we said, automotive industry with Škoda Auto, and this also could be an area for cooperation.
Now, the Czech president also says that he thinks that this relationship with China, with his country, could be perhaps an entry gate when it comes to China entering the European Union. What do you think about that perspective?
That one is really hard to call because I've looked at this for a number of years, and I also look at it in terms of the Czech Republic being very central in Europe. It's one of the 16 Central and Eastern European countries that China has been looking to generate new relations with, and it's Czech Republic of these countries is probably the most strategically placed, apart from perhaps Poland, in that it's right next to Germany, which is obviously Europe's powerhouse. It has very good relations with Germany. Therefore, it would suggest that it could be a useful entry point to the European Union. On the other hand, it's hard to say, starting from the low base and the relations where they're at now, whether that is going to grow sufficiently or whether that is going to be useful. But I do think that there's certainly with the Czech Republic a useful endpoint for that, coming out of Piraeus in Greece. That they're planning, building the railway up from Belgrade to Budapest through Serbia, Macedonia, Serbia, and Hungary. The Czech Republic would seem to represent an ideal endpoint for that trade route and for that investment, an ideal entry point into Germany and Western Europe. So it looks geographically and otherwise as if that could be a good solution.